The CEO thought blind dates were a joke, then a Christmas dare brought her to his door in the snow. 1 week before Christmas, Manhattan glowed with lights and last-minute shoppers. Stores spilled golden light onto the sidewalks, and carolers bundled in scarves filled the air with familiar tunes. The city pulsed with energy, rushed, festive, and alive. Inside the sleek glass tower of Langston & Co., the company's holiday party buzzed with laughter and music. Twinkling garlands wrapped around chrome columns and glasses clinked under chandeliers that reflected the skyline. Avery Langston stood near the bar, a champagne flute in hand, golden hair twisted into a perfect bun. Her tailored burgundy suit looked effortless, but every detail was intentional. At 30, she had built one of the most successful interior design firms in New York from the ground up. Clients trusted her taste. Colleagues admired her efficiency. She was sharp, unshakable, and famously uninterested in romantic distractions. "Still single, still stubborn," said Naomi, her best friend and head of marketing, as she approached with 2 sugar cookies balanced on a napkin. "You know blind dates aren't illegal." Avery arched an eyebrow. "They should be." "This one's for charity," Naomi pressed. "Holiday Hearts Initiative, completely anonymous. All proceeds help foster kids have a proper Christmas." Avery took a sip of champagne, her tone even. "I already make donations, without putting myself through dinner with a stranger who thinks interior designer means I pick throw pillows." Naomi leaned on the bar, unfazed. "This isn't about dating, it's about doing something. Unpredictable." "You hate unpredictable," Avery replied. "I know. That's how serious I am," Naomi said, grinning. "So here's the deal. If you say no, you owe me a weekend in Vermont. No laptop, no spreadsheets, just pine trees and conversations." Avery narrowed her eyes. "You're bribing me with peace and quiet? I'm daring you to live a little. Worst case, it's awkward and you go home. Best case?" She shrugged. "Maybe it surprises you." Avery didn't answer right away. Blind dates were a waste of time. She'd built a life that ran on logic and deadlines, not luck and emotions. But lately, even she could admit something was missing. "If you back out," Naomi added, "you have to meet your match in person on Christmas Eve, in whatever small-town snow globe location they're from." Avery laughed. "That's absurd. I dare you." The words lingered like snow that hadn't yet touched the ground. Avery looked around. The people she'd hired, mentored, built an empire beside. They admired her, but none truly knew her. Not in the quiet way that someone might know how she liked her tea, or that she couldn't fall asleep without music. She turned back to Naomi. "Fine, I'll do it. Just don't expect a miracle." Meanwhile, miles away in the snow-covered town of Maple Hollow, soft light flickered inside Hollis Books and Brew. Nathaniel Hollis flipped the closed sign on the door, the scent of cinnamon still clinging to the air from that evening's book club. His 5-year-old daughter, Lily, twirled across the hardwood in her favorite pink tulle dress, holding up a crayon drawing. "Daddy, can I hang this now?" Nate crouched beside her. "Let me see." She showed him proudly. 3 figures under a Christmas tree, one tall, one small, and one with long yellow hair. "On the fireplace," she said. "So she sees it when she comes." "She?" "The Christmas mommy," Lily whispered. Nate smiled, the ache in his chest familiar. Rachel had been gone 4 years. The bookstore was her dream. Now it was their world. That night, his cousin Julia dropped by with wind-bitten cheeks and mischief in her grin. "You're signed up," she said, holding up an email confirmation. "For what?" "The Holiday Hearts Initiative. I entered you." He sighed. "I'm not ready." Julia softened. "Maybe it's not about being ready. Maybe it's about being open." Later, after Lily had gone to sleep, Nate sat quietly by the fire. Her drawing was propped on the mantel, 3 hopeful, wobbly figures. He stared at it for a long time. And then he didn't cancel. Not yet. The coffee shop was tucked between a flower boutique and a bookstore, its windows fogged from the warmth inside and the December chill outside. Tiny golden lights lined the roof, and the sign read, "The Hollow Bean," in soft cursive. It was charming, disarmingly so. Avery parked her car across the street, glancing once at the time. 5 minutes early. Typical. She sighed, adjusted the collar of her coat, and reached into her purse, pulling out the old, leather-bound book the organization had instructed her to bring as her identifier. It smelled faintly of cedar and age. "This is ridiculous," she muttered under her breath, stepping inside. The shop was cozy, dimly lit, and smelled like cinnamon and clove. A fire crackled in the corner. A handful of customers sat scattered throughout, reading or chatting quietly. Her eyes swept the room for anyone who might be carrying a red scarf, the only clue she'd been given about her match. She spotted him, or someone, at a table near the back. A man, profile turned slightly away, a deep red scarf draped over the chair beside him. He was flipping through a notebook, occasionally sipping from a ceramic mug. She hesitated. He looked calm, grounded. She didn't expect that. Before she could take a step forward, her phone buzzed sharply in her coat pocket. She glanced at it. Emergency. Contractor issue at Riverside Project. She cursed under her breath. She tried to ignore it. This was supposed to be her one night off, but the notification blinked again. Avery looked at the man with the scarf, still reading, still unaware. She could go over, say a quick hello, at least introduce herself. But the second buzz was followed by a call. She stepped outside to answer it. The cold air bit her cheeks as she spoke quickly, professionally. 15 minutes passed. When she turned back toward the cafe, the man with the scarf was gone. Or maybe he hadn't even noticed her at all. Either way, the moment had passed. Inside the cafe, 5-year-old Lily Hollis sat on her knees in one of the chairs. Her pink tulle dress flared out around her like a cupcake wrapper. Her dad had stepped away briefly to grab napkins. Lily's big brown eyes scanned the room and caught sight of something. A white glove, left behind on a chair near the fire. She slid down from the seat and toddled over, picking it up carefully with both hands like it was something precious. When Nate returned with the napkins, she tugged his coat sleeve and held up the glove. "She dropped this," Lily said solemnly. Nate knelt to her level. "Who did?" "The lady with the golden hair," Lily whispered. She had magic in her eyes. Nate blinked. "You saw her?" Lily nodded. "I think. She's my Christmas mommy." He froze for a moment, caught off guard by her certainty. She clutched the glove to her chest, eyes wide, hopeful. Nate glanced toward the door, but it had already closed behind Avery. Outside, the snow was beginning to fall harder. He looked down at Lily, then at the glove. "Well," he said softly, "if she's meant to come back, maybe she will." Because the blind date had failed, she never even saw the man she was matched with. Avery now found herself bound to her best friend's ridiculous promise. If she didn't show up then, she had to show up now. In person, in Maple Hollow, on Christmas Eve. The snow came down heavier than expected. Avery tightened her grip on the steering wheel, squinting through the windshield as her wipers struggled against the thickening flakes. The road signs were barely visible, and her GPS had already rerouted twice. Somewhere between the city and Maple Hollow, she had questioned this whole idea more times than she could count. But a dare was a dare. And maybe, just maybe, she didn't want to go back to her high-rise apartment, her glass office, and another Christmas Eve alone. The car's tires slipped as she rounded a bend, and a warning light blinked on the dashboard. Her heart jumped. The engine sputtered. Then silence. Avery exhaled slowly, gripping the wheel. Perfect. She stepped out into the cold, the wind immediately biting at her cheeks. Pulling her coat tighter, she scanned the area. Most of the street was dark, shuttered shops and quiet homes. But across the road, a soft amber glow spilled from the windows of a small brick building. A wooden sign above the door read, "Hollis Books and Brew. Warmth, light, a chance to not freeze." She hurried across, boots crunching over snow, and knocked on the door. It opened slowly. A man stood there, tall and broad-shouldered, wearing a sweater the color of pine bark. His expression was cautious at first, then surprised. A woman, with golden hair, dusted in snow, stood on his doorstep, cheeks flushed from the cold, holding a pair of white gloves. "Hi," she said, breath visible in the air. "My car broke down. I'm supposed to be meeting someone nearby, but I think I'm lost. And cold." Nate blinked. Her voice was soft but confident. Her blonde hair, falling in loose waves now, shimmered under the porch light. She looked like, before he could respond, a small voice piped up behind him. "Daddy, who is it?" A little girl peeked from behind his leg. Pink tulle dress, hair in messy pigtails, a drawing clutched in her hand. Nate glanced down at her, then back at the woman. "You'd better come in," he said finally. Inside, the bookshop cafe was quiet, warm, and filled with the scent of cinnamon and old pages. A small fireplace crackled in the corner. Avery stepped inside slowly, taking it all in, brushing snow from her coat. "I'm Nate," he said, gesturing toward a chair near the fire. "Avery," she replied. "Thank you. I really didn't mean to bother anyone." "No bother," he said. "Just not every day a stranger shows up on Christmas Eve." Lily climbed into the armchair across from Avery, still holding her drawing. Her wide eyes studied the visitor carefully. "You look like her," she said. "Like who?" Lily turned the paper around. Crayon figures stood under a twinkling tree, one tall, one small, and one with golden hair in a red dress. Avery stared. "That's beautiful." "That's you," Lily said matter-of-factly. "You're my Christmas wish." Nate coughed, embarrassed. "Lily." "What?" She shrugged. "She is." Avery smiled, and for the first time in a long time, it didn't feel practiced. "Well, I guess I'm flattered." Nate handed her a warm mug. "Cocoa. She insists on sharing it with everyone." Avery wrapped her hands around the cup, grateful. The fire crackled between them, casting soft light across the shelves of books and their faces. There was a quiet comfort in the moment, in the hum of something unspoken. "This place," Avery said after a while, "it's kind of magical." Nate looked over at her, his features softening. "Yeah, sometimes it is." Lily leaned her head against the side of the chair, eyes drooping. Avery took another sip of cocoa, her heart thawing just a little. She did not know this man. He did not know her. But something about this night, this storm, this child's drawing, it all felt strangely like it wasn't random. Maybe fate had not forgotten her after all. Upstairs, the guest room was simple but thoughtfully arranged. Soft linens, a folded extra blanket at the foot of the bed, a small lamp casting golden light across a weathered wooden nightstand. Avery took it in slowly, her gloved fingers brushing the quilt. She couldn't remember the last time someone had prepared a space for her like this. Everything in her life was self-made, self-kept, self-contained. "Hope this works for the night," Nate said from the doorway. "It's not the Ritz, but it's warm." "It's perfect," she said genuinely. "Thank you." Back downstairs, dinner was already laid out on the small wooden table beside the window. Tomato soup, grilled cheese sandwiches, and a plate of sugar cookies shaped like snowflakes. "I let Lily handle the cookie decorations," Nate said with a smile as Avery took her seat. "I can tell," she replied, laughing softly at the mountain of red sprinkles on one. "You might have created a masterpiece." Lily beamed. "That one's yours." Over dinner, Lily chattered non-stop. She asked Avery about her favorite Christmas movie, whether she believed in Santa, and if she had ever made a snow angel in a dress. "I can't say I have," Avery said, amused. "You should," Lily declared. "Dresses make better angels." Nate watched the exchange quietly, his eyes flickering with something soft and far away. When Lily got up to grab another cookie, he turned to Avery. "She's been drawing you for weeks." Avery blinked. "Me?" "Well," he said slowly, "a woman with golden hair who lives in a red dress. That's how she imagines her mom, if she came back for Christmas. There was no pity in his tone, no drama, just a simple statement of a child's wish. Avery felt something shift in her chest, something like ache, but gentler. "I'm sorry," she said softly. He gave a small smile. "Rachel died 4 years ago. Car accident. I left photography not long after. Couldn't be in chaos anymore. So I came back to Maple Hollow, opened this place, and raised Lily with books and cocoa." "She's lucky," Avery said. "I'm the lucky one," he replied. The fire crackled in the background, casting shadows that danced against the walls. For a moment, silence settled in. Not awkward, just full. Avery sipped her cocoa, letting the warmth seep in. "I think I forgot what this feels like." "What does?" She looked at him. "A quiet Christmas, a warm room, people." Nate didn't press further. He didn't ask about her life in the city, or why her eyes looked tired in ways makeup couldn't cover. Instead, he stood and cleared a few plates while Lily returned with a fresh piece of artwork clutched in her hand. "Look," she said proudly, climbing into Avery's lap without warning. Avery froze for a moment, then smiled as Lily showed her the drawing. 3 figures again, one tall man, one little girl in a puffy pink dress, and a blonde woman with hair down to her shoulders, standing beside them, holding their hands beneath a tree lit with stars. "I drew you in this dress," Lily explained, pointing, "because you look like magic." Avery couldn't find words. She looked up, meeting Nate's eyes across the room. He had stopped mid-step, a dish in his hand, expression unreadable. Their eyes held. There was no grand confession, no sudden declaration, just a silent current between them, fragile but real. Avery smoothed Lily's hair gently. "Thank you," she whispered. "It's beautiful." Lily grinned, satisfied, and leaned her head on Avery's shoulder. Later that night, as Avery lay in the guest bed upstairs, she stared at the ceiling in the quiet. Below her, the hum of the fireplace still echoed faintly. Somewhere in this little snow-covered town, she had stumbled into something she hadn't even known she needed. Not love, not yet, but something like peace. And it had been a long time. The scent of cinnamon and warm batter drifted through the air, nudging Avery from sleep. She blinked, momentarily disoriented, then remembered. The snowfall, the firelight, the little pink dress curled against her side the night before. She sat up slowly, stretching in the quiet warmth of the guest room. From downstairs, faint Christmas music played, a soft piano rendition of "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas." Something stirred in her chest, gentle and unfamiliar. She ran her fingers through her tousled blonde waves, loosely falling past her shoulders now, and padded downstairs. The kitchen was aglow with morning light. Nate stood at the stove, flipping pancakes with practiced ease. He wore a dark Henley and flannel pajama pants, sleeves pushed to his elbows. There was something almost startling about seeing a man so comfortable in stillness, in simplicity. "Morning," she said, her voice a little husky. He turned, offering a small smile. "Hope you're hungry." Lily was already at the table, coloring something with intense focus, still dressed in her favorite pink tulle dress, though now with mismatched socks. She looked up and waved enthusiastically. "We're having snowflake pancakes," she announced. "Daddy makes them when it snows." Avery laughed softly. "Is that a rule?" "It is now," Nate replied, setting a fresh plate in front of her. He poured her coffee without asking how she liked it, and somehow got it right. They ate quietly, with bursts of chatter from Lily in between. No one mentioned the storm. No one mentioned why Avery had come in the first place. The air was thick with the unspoken, but not uncomfortable. It was as if they all sensed that naming it too soon might scare it away. After breakfast, Avery helped rinse the plates, while Lily danced in the living room to the music still playing. Nate stood beside her, sleeves wet, shoulders relaxed. It was strange. This ease, this quiet domesticity. "I should get going," she said eventually. "The roads look clear now." He nodded, but didn't speak. She slipped upstairs to gather her things. When she returned, Lily ran to her and threw her arms around Avery's legs, nearly knocking her off balance. "Wait," she whispered. "Don't tell Daddy." Avery leaned down. "Don't tell him what?" With a conspiratorial grin, Lily pulled something from behind her back and tucked it into the pocket of Avery's coat. "It's for you," she said. "I made it last night." Before Avery could look, Lily hugged her again, tighter this time. "I knew you were the one I drew," Lily murmured. "You're my Christmas wish." Avery swallowed hard, touched beyond words. She kissed the top of Lily's head and stood, blinking back unexpected warmth in her eyes. Outside, the snow had softened into a wet shimmer, clinging to rooftops and tree branches. Her car was parked by the curb, cleaned off and ready. "You did that?" she asked Nate, nodding toward it. He gave a one-shouldered shrug. "Figured you might need a jump start." Avery smiled, stepping closer. "That's really thoughtful." He met her gaze, quiet and steady. Then, after a pause, he said gently, "If one day you feel like reading the next chapter of last night, this place will always have a page waiting." She didn't know what to say, so she just nodded. Then she got into the car and drove away, slowly, carefully, watching the bookshop fade into her rearview mirror, a little girl waving from the window. It wasn't until she reached the first stoplight back on the highway that she remembered the item in her coat pocket. She pulled it out. It was a crayon drawing, 3 figures standing under a Christmas tree. One small, in a pink dress, one tall, with messy brown hair and kind eyes, and one with golden waves, wearing a bright red dress, holding both their hands. Avery stared at it for a long time, heart stilled, the silence in her car suddenly filled with meaning. She had come looking for nothing, and left carrying something she didn't quite have words for yet. The city had not changed, but something in Avery had. The Monday after Christmas, she stepped back into her Manhattan office like clockwork, heels clicking against polished marble, tablet in hand, emails pinging before she even reached her desk. The skyline stretched wide outside her window, sharp and brilliant as ever. Meetings filled her calendar, deadlines marched forward. But her thoughts kept drifting to a tiny town covered in snow, to the quiet crackle of a fire, to a bookstore that smelled of old pages and cinnamon, to a little girl in a pink dress who had slipped a drawing into her coat pocket like a secret. The picture now hung on the wall of Avery's apartment, framed in white and placed between modern art prints that suddenly felt cold by comparison. Every time she looked at it, 3 crayon figures under a Christmas tree, her chest tightened in a way she could not explain. She told no one about Maple Hollow. But Naomi noticed. "You're quieter," she said one afternoon, sipping coffee across from Avery at their favorite downtown cafe. "Softer, even." "I'm tired," Avery deflected. Naomi tilted her head. "No, it's not that. You've got this faraway look, like you're somewhere else when you're here." Avery smiled faintly. "Maybe I am." She didn't say more. Not about the snowy night, not about Nate, or Lily, or how a one-night accident had felt more real than years of polite dinners and controlled conversations. Instead, she buried herself in work. She returned to business as usual, and yet nothing felt usual anymore. Then came the package. It arrived on a Thursday afternoon. No return address, no name. Just her name, written in a steady, almost old-fashioned script. Inside was the very book she had brought to the blind date, the weathered, leather-bound novel she thought she had lost. Her breath caught the moment she touched it. It smelled like home, like something treasured. She opened it slowly, fingers trembling just a little. Pressed between 2 pages was a note, not typed, not formal, just a simple handwritten card on cream-colored paper. "Sometimes we spend years searching everywhere, only to find what we needed when we stopped looking." No signature, no clues. But she knew. Of course she knew. Her mind rushed backward, to the cafe, to the man with the red scarf sitting a few tables away, to the near miss, the phone call that pulled her away. the gaping chance she hadn't realized she'd almost lost. Nate. He had been her match all along. It wasn't dramatic. There was no orchestra in her chest, no rush of fairy tale butterflies. Just a slow, full swell of understanding, a quiet, echoing truth that settled somewhere deep. He had known. And instead of confronting her or chasing her, he had sent a book, a story, a beginning, and let her choose if she wanted to turn the page. Avery stared at the note in her lap, and for the first time in years, she wasn't sure what came next. But she knew this: she didn't want to keep reading alone. The first week of January arrived with sharp winds and fresh deadlines. Avery buried herself in them: proposals, design drafts, meetings, filling every waking moment with noise and motion, hoping structure would silence whatever stirred beneath. It didn't. Each time snow drifted past her office windows, her thoughts betrayed her. A flicker of firelight, a pink dress twirling, a quiet voice asking if she wanted to read the next chapter. She fought it. Logic told her not to go back. Logic said it was just one night, but her heart didn't listen. That weekend, she sat at her desk well past midnight, a blank sheet of stationery in front of her. The city outside lay quiet beneath fresh snow. She picked up a pen and began to write. Nate, I'm not sure what that night meant to you, but it hasn't left me. Maybe it's foolish, maybe it's nothing, but I wanted you to know. She paused, reread, then tore the page in half. Instead, she opened her laptop and typed a short, careful email. Hope you and Lily had a beautiful New Year. Her finger hovered over send, then stopped. Slowly, she erased the line, letter by letter, until the screen was blank. She closed the laptop and covered her face with both hands. She didn't want to bring uncertainty into their calm. Nate's steadiness, Lily's laughter. They deserved peace, not disruption. 2 days later, at a downtown cafe, Avery waited for a client. Outside, a father crossed the street with his daughter in a pink coat. The child reached up and took his hand, and he bent to whisper something that made her laugh. Avery looked away, her chest tightening. That night, she didn't bother turning on the lights when she got home. The only glow came from the fireplace. She curled on the couch, knees tucked in, staring at the crayon drawing above the mantel. It watched her like a question she hadn't answered. Her own reflection shimmered faintly in the window, composed, successful, alone. And softly to the room, she admitted, I'm tired of being alone. The truth surprised her, but it also settled something. The next morning she brewed coffee, stood at the kitchen counter, and stared at her phone for a long while. Then she opened a travel site, not for a flight, for something slower. Bus ticket, New York to Maple Hollow. Departure, Saturday, 6 a.m. She clicked confirm with a quiet smile. No grand gesture, no overthinking, just a decision. That evening, while packing a small bag, her eyes landed on Lily's drawing again. The little girl in pink, the tall man, the blonde woman in red beneath a glowing tree. Avery reached out and touched the frame. This wasn't about fate anymore, or chance. It was about being ready. For years she had surrounded her life with glass and steel. Strong, impressive, untouchable. But now, for the first time, she was choosing to step past those walls, not for fantasy, not for escape, but for something real. When the bus pulled away at dawn, the skyline faded into a pale blur behind her. Avery rested her head against the cold window as snow began to fall once more, gentler this time, softer. Somewhere ahead, Maple Hollow waited, quiet, small. And this time, she wasn't afraid to arrive. The late afternoon sky in Maple Hollow was brushed with rose gold, fading gently into soft gray as snow fell like a whisper. Lanterns hung from shop windows, flickering with warm light. Somewhere down the street, faint Christmas music still played, leftover melodies that hadn't quite said goodbye to the season. Avery stepped off the bus with a small bag in one hand and her heart in the other. She stood still for a moment, breathing in the crisp air, the scent of pine, wood smoke, and something quieter, something that felt like home, though she had never lived here. She walked slowly through the town, boots crunching against packed snow. The shops were closing early for New Year's Eve, but one remained lit, Hollis Books and Brew. The windows glowed like something out of a dream, and behind the glass, the world stilled. Inside, Nate sat in a worn leather armchair, a book open in his hands. Lily was curled up beside him, listening intently, her pink dress layered under a fuzzy cardigan. The light framed them in gold. The fireplace flickered gently behind them. Avery stood frozen for a moment, watching. It was Lily who saw her first. She gasped, eyes wide, then jumped off the chair and ran to the door, nearly slipping on her socks. "Daddy! Daddy!" she shrieked with joy, wrenching the door open before he could stand. "She's back! I told you she would come back." Avery barely had time to catch her breath before the little girl flung her arms around her legs, giggling into her coat. "I knew it," Lily said, matter of fact. Inside, Nate stood slowly, his gaze never leaving Avery. He didn't smile right away. He didn't speak. He just looked at her, as if he had been waiting without saying so, as if this moment had already lived 100 quiet lives in his mind. Avery stepped inside, brushing snow from her coat, heart pounding louder than her footsteps. They stood there in silence for a moment, the room lit by firelight and something deeper, recognition, understanding, peace. "I didn't know if—" Nate began, voice low. She reached into her pocket and pulled out the white glove, one of the pair she'd left behind. She held it out gently. He smiled then, slow and sure, and pulled the matching glove from his own coat pocket. They both laughed, just a little. It wasn't about the gloves. It never had been. Then, as if it was the most natural thing in the world, Avery stepped forward and slipped her hand into his. It was warm, familiar, right. Lily looked up at them with a satisfied grin. "Now we match," she announced. They all stood like that for a moment, hand in hand, under the soft twinkle of the shop's Christmas lights. Avery turned to Nate. Her voice was quiet, steady. "I think I'm ready to read the next part of this story," she said, "if you're still willing to tell it." Nate's fingers curled gently around hers. "Then let's begin," he said. "Chapter 1 of the new year. Together." Lily squeezed both their hands and tugged them inside toward the tree in the corner, still glowing with soft white lights and paper ornaments. They followed her, their steps slow, the kind you take when you know something is just beginning. Outside, the snow continued to fall in soft spirals, and somewhere far above the clouds, the old year slipped quietly into memory, leaving room for something new, something tender, something real. It wasn't a fairy tale. It was something better. A love that had waited, patiently, for the right season to begin. And just like that, beneath falling snow, beside a glowing tree, a new chapter quietly began. Not just for Avery or Nate, but for anyone who's ever longed for a second chance at love, hope, or home. Sometimes, the story we least expect is the one that changes everything. If this story touched your heart, made you smile, or reminded you of the quiet magic still left in the world, don't forget to subscribe and hit the hype button to support soul-stirring stories. Thank you for watching, and until next time, take care of your heart, and keep believing in beautiful beginnings.